please bear with me. I'm just still working on the Astrodoodle. Okay, I don't know if anyone's here, but we'll see. Anyway, give me a second. Yeah, I'm just going to work this thing. I need a few more minutes, okay? Thank you. All right. Well, hello. Hi, Ivona. Hello, Esther. Good evening. I'm glad you're in a good mood. All right, let's have a look. I just wanted to finish off the Astrodoodle for the way it is just for now. And then we're going to come over and say hi just briefly. Hello. Okay. Yeah, here we are. So, it's different for everybody, wherever you are, but this is a hallowed day for some folks across the world. It's a very, very big deal day. And to me, it's just another day, but I was born and raised in the belief systems that make today a very big deal for billions of people. Okay, it's all about God, Jesus Christ, the resurrection and salvation of humanity, and the understanding and belief that there is something higher than us. I think of it as the healing power of love. I think of it as love. I think of it as an energy field, literally like a pulsing energy field. The same way that the sun radiates gamma rays, X-rays, protons, neutrons, all of those incredibly powerful energy fields. I feel that love is the same thing. It's just the same thing, but on a different frequency. That's all it is. And we're swimming in it all the time, whether we like it or know it or not. And because of the way that we're built, we've got this thing called, well, I think of it as freedom of choice. Some people don't have it, depending on how you're raised and your belief systems, but I was very lucky as a child. I was granted immense freedom and choice to be me. And of course, I went crazy. I was the happiest little kid ever. I did almost whatever I wanted. I got almost whatever I wanted. My parents loved me. If I wanted a chemistry set on my birthday, that's what I got. If I wanted a tricycle, that's what I got. And my parents, of course, were very happy because they could tell that I was extremely happy because I had my toys and I loved my toys. I had a spirograph. I had an electronic engineering kit. I could do anything. I felt like I could build rockets to go to the moon and robots. I had electric trains. I had scale-electric road racing tracks with racing cars. Unbelievable. Just, if I had kept those toys, they would be collectibles now, worth a fortune. Some of the most valuable toys I ever had were my puppets. I had a very rare collection of puppets. Today they're very rare. Back then you could buy them as toys. They were not cheap because they were handmade toys. They were puppets. And it was from a company called the Pelham Puppet Corporation. I had skeletons and dragons and peasants and farmers, birds, dancing girls, dancing men, all sorts of, and ordinary people, just ordinary people puppets. Today they're now collectibles, okay? Yes, I was very lucky. I was also raised with 4 seasons. So in winter we had lots of snow, so I had sleds and toboggans and discs, ice skates, ice skating. I did all of it. In springtime, the bicycles and the tricycles came out, and the little 4-wheel trailers came out to play on the curb and on the street and go round and round in circles up and down the driveway. And then summer would come along and the little kiddies paddle pool would come out. We'd splash around in the backyard. There'd be big mosquitoes and bugs and everything, but we loved it all. And every couple of weeks, Mom would take us down to the big local community swimming pool, which of course was the size of a stadium, as far as I was concerned as a child, and of course I loved it. Beautiful. Hikes in the woods, going around, driving on road trips to get ice cream, to go to different national parks, to go to the seaside and the ocean side and the lakeside. And then in the fall, we'd take out things like roller skates and sweaters and do all of that good fun stuff up and down the streets. And raking leaves and making fires, climbing trees, all sorts of everything, wonderful, good stuff. Went to camp. I was very, very lucky. I went to summer camp. It was fantastic. Lakes for swimming, canoes and boats for paddling around in, little tiny fishing boats with motors. And then we lived at another place where one of my neighbors had a go-kart. And he let me play on his go-kart. So I was just a little tiny kid, maybe 6. But I was driving that go-kart like I was a professional. Man. Yeah. Ohio. A lot of that was in Ohio, yeah. I lived a lot of different places, but most of the stuff I described was Ohio in a very particular time frame. Yeah. And then winter would come along again. We'd have all our thick furry winter clothes and furry hats with earmuffs and big scarves to cover our little faces so we didn't catch too many colds. It was fantastic. Mom was a good cook. Always had amazing, good food. Really wholesome, good food. You would call it American. Midwest, maybe. Farmer type food. French peasant food. German peasant food. American food. Spaghetti and meatballs. Macaroni and cheese. And maybe once or twice we went to McDonald's. Because I liked the milkshakes at the time. So there we are. No, it was Ohio. But other places too. Anyway, I just wanted to make it known that I'm extremely grateful. I feel like in my own little way I was very, very privileged. We went to church on Sundays. We would have to dress up in our best. I had a blazer and a shirt and a tie and trousers and dress shoes. Even though I was just a little kid. And I would comb my hair and put a little bit of VO5 in it to make it stick in the right places. My brother and sister were the same. They were immaculate, perfectly dressed little cherubs. Dad would put on one of his suits, and my mom would put on one of her dresses and a nice coat or a jacket. We'd go to church in the car. Now, for me, church didn't work out too well. As much as, believe me, I loved going there. I loved the ceremonies. I liked the weird smells. And I liked all the singing and all the hymns and all the songs and the sense of community. But a lot of it backfired on me, and so I turned away from the church. It left a very, very, very deep scar. But things that stayed with me are singing and songs. I always felt that the singing and the songs were very, very powerful tools for healing. You could do it every week. It's fantastic. And also growing up, I'm a little bit older now, living over in England, I would go to church every morning. We had to. It was a British church. It was what's called Church of England. Now, the Church of England was quite different from the American Catholic stuff. How did it backfire on me? Okay, well, just very, very briefly, all the horrific stories that you've heard about that happens inside the Catholic Church, that's what happened to me. Including the nuns. It was bad, bad, bad. But anyway, I didn't take it personally. I just kind of decided I don't want to play that game anymore. But anyway, so back over in England, again, everything was done very, very properly. Okay? Oh, hi, Tina. Thank you. And I decided to go back to church. Because I had to. It was part of the little school where I went. And so we went every morning, early in the morning, like 7 o'clock, 7:30, I think. No, 7:30 or something like that, or 8 o'clock. 7:30 or 8. And we would have a little short sermon from the vicar and sing a couple of traditional British hymns. And the British hymns were a little bit different from the American hymns. But I loved the British hymns because they had really good ripping tunes. And you could really sing along with it. And everybody knew all the tunes and everybody knew all the words. So it was epic. The whole church would vibrate. And I loved it. I really loved it. I just did it because it made me feel good. I liked the tunes and I liked the feeling. It was uplifting. So there. And all that singing and music and stuff stayed with me even today. Yeah. Give me a second here. Cheers, everybody. So I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful, quiet day. I'm having to be very careful here. I really did some damage to my spine. And it comes from getting in and out of cars with a poor posture. And I overdid it. Because I hop in, hop out, hop in, hop out. Do this chore, do that chore, do this chore, do that chore. And then one day, and so I'm kind of medicated at the moment and a little bit less than optimal. But we're still here. We're still hanging out. So, anyway, I'll put up the magic post-it note for you, Tina. We'll get there in a minute. Probably not going to do too many readings tonight, but I just wanted to show up anyway. A couple of things. I've been doing lots of homework. Well, sort of. I'll show you what I'm up to because it's important stuff regarding the astrology. We've got some big deal stuff piling up, okay? It's monumental. It's historic. It's for the whole world. It isn't just for Pisces or Aries or, Geminis or anything. It's for the whole world. So I'll give you a couple of heads up. The one thing that we're looking at very closely is how Saturn is going to come very, very close to Neptune. And then they're going to be right there together. And then they're going to move apart. Okay? And it's happening in such a way that it's at a very critical degree astrologically. There are several moments. It's kind of one of, because it's Saturn and Neptune, they move pretty slowly. Saturn moves much faster than Neptune, but Saturn still feels slow. It takes, almost 30 years to do a Saturn loop, the Saturn return. 30 years. So we don't notice it, but most people associate Saturn with the Saturn return, very famous. They associate Saturn with things like responsibility, achievement, patience, integrity, and then we go to things like ambition, management, executive control, stewardship. And then we get into deeper levels, things like karma. Well, that's more like, I guess, like understanding reality. The reality of reality is that everything is exactly as it should be. And how is that so and why is that so? It's because it can't be any other way. Things are the way they are. all the evil that we are seeing and witnessing in the world right now at an astronomical scale, fully evident, on full display, is exactly the way it should be, because it can't be any other way. It's a form of energy that has been festering and building up for decades and decades, just like a lingering, slow cancer. And you don't notice it until the very last minute. And then it becomes very, very obvious and becomes very, very debilitating. So we're seeing all of that happen right now. And I was talking to Love Triber the other day, walking through the moon. Let's actually go over here for a minute. I was talking about this little transit here with the moon in Sagittarius for the last few days. I was commenting that when the moon moves through Sagittarius over these next few days, what we're going to see on the world stage is some very, very obvious displays of the very worst of Neptune in Pisces, Venus in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, and Mars in Pisces, all combined like one big stew. And because the nature of the 12th house Neptune in Pisces vibe is, on the one hand, perfection, idealism, beauty, eternal love, universal love, unconditional love. In other words, let's say I gave birth to a child that was severely autistic, and I loved the child anyway. I decided not to dispose of it. Or let's say you have a pet, a beautiful pet, that was badly hurt in a car crash, and you realized that the most lovely thing to do was to euthanize it. So you do that anyway, even though you might prefer that the pet stays alive, and you give it all sorts of horrible, hideous medications and surgeries that just end up in extended misery. Those are examples of loving anyway. And on the other flip side is just the complete absence of love. Just vacated. Love is vacated. Now, in some situations, love is absent because it was never born, never nurtured, never brought into existence in the child, or in the family, or in the neighborhood, or in the culture. And then there are people who are born and raised in love, but then they choose to deliberately abandon or neglect or discard love. And those are people who've made conscious choices to discard love in favor of immediate satisfaction of power and money and control, which in some ways can only be accessed through very, very despicable, deliberate abandonment of love. And that's what we're seeing today all over the world. And that energy of the absence of love is being disseminated through the energy field of the people who have made that choice. The people who live in a world that is absent of love are mostly living in a very, very dire situations of either poverty or suffering or pain or damage in some way or another. They could be in a wealthy economy, but still enduring immense pain and suffering. But the kind of absence of love I'm talking about is at the point that we have another word for it, and it's called evil. And that is by choice. And there are people who choose that. They choose that as a way of life. They choose it as a belief system because it works extremely well when the only thing that you care about is satisfying your lust for power and money and control an unsatiable lust for more power and more money and more control. And it feeds on itself. And it looks extremely attractive to people who don't have what they have. And the way they operate is through deception, lies, betrayal, theft, subversion, blackmail, murder, crime. But it's all packaged and presented as a way that it's benevolence. A classic example is with politics. Vote for me and I will save you. Okay? Doesn't matter whether you're left wing or right wing. That's the adage. But anyway, I was talking about this. Let's put all of this in one big lump here. This section here. I was talking to Love Triber that as the moon goes through here for the next few days, we're going to see some very, very obvious displays of the abdication of love. And it just happened yesterday and today that the most ridiculous thing is when this bizarre thing happened. Doesn't matter about the politics, whether you like this or like that or not. It was the White House in America issued a statement that was there to acknowledge and support and let's see, what's the word? Advocate for a certain group of people. And I believe it was done deliberately to stir up and create an inflammatory situation between people who have one belief system in America and a small group of people who have another belief system. And the idea of the White House statement was to create division and sow seeds of extreme antagonism and just inflame things more than ever before. It was purposeful. The other thing that was very obvious was the big crash with the bridge, the big sabotage thing with the bridge over in Maryland. And of course the rest of the stuff that we already know about. You know, all the financial stuff, all the political stuff, all the shenanigans going on in America. So that's happening right now, and that chapter is going to fade out. The moon's going to move over into Capricorn, and we're going to get a different looking chart. Now, the stuff that I'm researching is all about Saturn moving next to Neptune to the point where they're going to sit right next to each other. They're going to conjoin together. Do you remember I wrote that book? Okay, I wrote this book years ago, and I was writing about the most enormous astrological event in thousands of years at January 2020. Okay, so that was when Pluto was here. We've moved on. Pluto is now over here. And we've got some big events coming. Now, this is not as big, but it's still big. Saturn and Neptune are going to conjoin, and it's going to be in 2024 and 2025. And the most critical point just happens to be it's going to happen right here at the 0 degree Aries mark. So there's going to be a lot of upheaval on the world stage at that point in time. There's going to be the build-up to it, and then there's going to be the after effects, okay? And it's going to linger for many, many, many months, okay? We're not there yet, okay? We've got to go through the whole of 2024, but it's happening, okay? But we need to start learning about it and becoming aware of it now. So I just wanted to mention that. And if you want to, you can do your own studies. Let me show you. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, I can't. I wish I could do a screen share. I can't do it on the way I'm broadcasting right now with my software. I can't really do a screen share. But anyway, just trust me that the material is out there. There are some very advanced astrologers, the best of the best. They're already starting to post some of their research and studies about this major astrological timestamp. On my astro doodles, it's going to look like this. It's going to be right here. We're going to have Saturn and Neptune sitting right here. I'll put it over here. It's going to be right here on that little black line right there. So by that time, we're also getting into another very important astrological timestamp, and that is when Jupiter and Uranus become conjoined as one thing. Okay, so Mercury's over here in Aries, and we've got Uranus and Taurus over here. Uranus and Jupiter over here in Taurus. They're getting pretty close, but soon they're going to conjoin. So we're going to have two huge astrological events coming over the next year and a half, okay? Let's see. So that's going to be over here, and this one's going to be over here. I'm doing homework for these already because it's going to affect everybody on Earth. Mostly it's going to be to do with massive upheaval, revolution in society. You might want to call it WW3 and different variations of WW3. But what that really speaks to is the inherent energy of revolution that is already baked in here. We've been talking about it for years. This underlies everything that I just discussed. So this is going onwards anyway. We already know about this. It's a 20-year journey, okay? Revolution, upheaval. People are going to demand freedom from tyranny. They're going to demand freedom from financial imprisonment, financial destruction, financial manipulation. They're going to want to have their own voice, their own ability to be their own sovereign selves. So it's going to be a fight because the EVIL people that I discussed over here don't want that. What they want, of course, we've talked about it, is imprisonment. What they're trying to do is to farm us. They are trying to farm we the people. We've talked about that already. They consider us, we the people, they consider we the people to be cattle that need to be farmed, enslaved, and the value and the milk and the meat and all the goodness is to be extracted for their consumption at our expense and our loss. It's basically farming on an industrial scale worldwide to serve a small handful of elites. The problem with their plan is that some of us, like us here, we figured it out. We figured out their despotic, evil agenda. And we're trying to figure out how can we get out of it. Because the people over here that have all the power, money, control, they want to continue to have the power and the money control, so they're going to find ways to do that. And it's not pretty for us. Okay? Anyway, so those are the things that are coming up. This we're going to be talking about for the next 20 years. This one we're going to be talking about over the next 6 months. This one we're going to talk about in the next few months, okay? This is a big one. This is a big one. Saturn conjoined Neptune. Jupiter conjoined Uranus. Okay? Very big deal. All right. The things that I just talked about here, these conjunctions are going to amplify the instability and the revolution and the unrest that is already baked in to the journey from here. So please plan accordingly. All right? However unstable you may feel that things are right now, I guarantee there's going to be radically increased instability. And that might be most especially felt in the global financial system, okay? Because that is the most powerful tool they have. You know, of course, there's the American military-industrial complex. They've got all the F-35s and the P-16 nuke bombs, and they've got they've got all that stuff, and that's what they do. You know, there's the CIA, the DOD. They all work together to create permanent war, because war is the most profitable business on earth. But we the people are sick of it. So, because we don't like being, you know, collateral damage in their silly little games of Monopoly. So, anyway, the ways that they are going to try and farm us and control us, like you said, it's going to come through the media. It's going to come through the global banking system. It's going to come through the global political system. So, it's an ongoing journey, and there are a lot of YouTube channels that are getting blocked or shut down. They're shutting down Telegram in Spain because Telegram speaks too much truth. Just another example. All right, I just saw some notes. Hold on. Just a brief advance notice. Thank you, Necessary. I see that. Saturn and Neptune, not besties. Well, depending on how they work together. In a healthy expression with a Saturn-Neptune conjunction, Saturn has the ability to manifest the wonder and the beauty and the love of Neptune. Like creating beautiful stories, beautiful art, beautiful music. On the other hand, you flip it around. If the Neptune energy dominates and there's some difficult aspects, the Neptune energy can dissolve all the hard work and effort and goodness and integrity of Saturn. It's a very difficult balancing act. Hey TL, have you heard that the moon and sun are not in alignment on April 8th? I don't really know about that. It's another eclipse. On the 8th, it's another eclipse. Our solar system is a bit freaky because these eclipses happen in such a way that when we see them from Earth, you know, on the solar eclipse, the moon is going to block out the sun. So it looks really, really weird. It just happens that the moon looks that big sitting on top of the sun that looks that big, and it casts a shadow because the moon is blocking it out. So there's a shadow somewhere on Earth, and the path of the hold on a minute, give me a second, I'll show you. Thanks for asking. So the path of the eclipse over happens to be going across here. Okay, the eclipse goes like this across North America, and the media is making a huge big deal out of it. I'm not quite sure why. It is an eclipse. They are evolutionary gateways for everybody, and it does affect the Aries energy here. That's great. We can talk about that another time. But the thing is, the sun and the moon will be aligned very specifically along that path within 100 miles or so on each side. But outside of 10, 20, 50, 100 miles of that path, the sun and the moon will not be in alignment. So you will see an aberration. The eclipse will not look complete. Some are saying that the sun and moon are both in Pisces and therefore an eclipse would not be possible. Well, I don't quite see that actually, because from what I know of in my astrology, the sun is in Aries and the moon, it's a very, let's see, where is it here? I'm looking at one of my calendars. Give me a second. All right, so Aries, the new moon. Sorry, when is the? Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong month. Give me a second here. So the sun will be in Aries, and the moon will be in Aries. We're right in the middle of Aries season. Yeah. So that will be over here. The eclipse will be over here in about a week. The sun will be over here. The moon will be over here. So the moon is over here right now. So 2, 4, 6, 7. In about a week, which is the 8th, the sun will be here and the moon will be here, both in Aries. Okay? And it's going to be pretty close to the north node in Aries. So anyway, we'll talk about that at the time. Next, okay. Interesting. Some are saying the sun and moon are both in Pisces. Well, maybe there's different astrologers. Maybe it's Vedic or something. I'm not sure. But from what I can tell, it's going to be an Aries sun with an Aries moon. Yeah, Spectrum Cable. Is that like your local cable source, Esther? Yeah. Anyway, do the younger generations really ever really care? I don't know, Esther. I didn't really know much when I was a young lad. I was completely self-obsessed when I was a young child, and because I had so much freedom, and I just took it all. I took it all for granted, and I assumed that that enormous degree of freedom was just how things work in the world. And I've realized, of course, now that much later on in life, that freedom is extremely valuable, and it's very, very hard to catch it and keep it once you lose it. I'm terrified. I am terrified today that my freedom is being restricted. I'm starting to get these creepy feelings like an animal in a cage, because you have to understand, I had so much freedom, and I felt so gifted and lucky as a child. To have that restriction placed upon me is not acceptable. Sorry. So I honestly thought, but just to mention, I'm just looking at the chat here. Esther, I will say that when I was young, I was very interested in the stars and the planets. And one of my toys was a really cool telescope and also some really cool binoculars. And when I was a kid at school, I joined the Astrophysics Society. That was a very big deal for me. A little kid. So, again, rumors, there's so much hype about this coming eclipse. I'm not quite sure why. I just don't quite get it. Eclipses are a big deal, yes. I don't know why they're overdoing it. I think, Esther, about kids, I don't feel that kids today, despite their toys with their phones and their video games, I don't believe any of the kids today ever had close to the freedom and the joy that I had as a kid. Not even close. You couldn't hardly compare. Anyway, so there you go. Right now, okay, here we are today. This is March, okay? So we're right here at the very, very tippy end. That was the eclipse last week, okay? That was the full moon. That's when we had the sun. What was it? Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing again. No, yeah, that was the sun was just in Aries. where was it? Yeah, Sun in Aries and the Moon in Libra. That was the full moon eclipse over there. I couldn't see it because it wasn't anywhere near Nevada, America. And then over here, I haven't marked out the rest of the month, but we have the eclipse coming. This is the new moon in Aries. Okay, that's right here on the 8th. There's the sun and there's the moon. They're both in Aries, conjoined. And they happen to overlap each other when you are standing in certain parts of America. So it looks like it's blacked out. That's what's so scary about the eclipses. And tomorrow, first thing in the morning, you might as well say it's happening tonight, Mercury goes retrograde. Yay! For the next 3 weeks, folks. So pretty much typical stories. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong when it comes to things like emails, communications, paperwork, letters, cars, computers, telephones, telecommunications, your satellites, scheduling things, telephoning people, saying one thing and meaning another. Someone listens to you and hears one thing and feels another, and then they respond and say one thing but they mean another, and people can get very easily lost in arguments and conflict and confusion. Okay, just mentioning that, so brace yourself. The other thing, of course, with the Mercury retrograde is to take advantage of it and fix things. Anything that needs fixing, this is a really good time to fix things that need fixing. There you go. Okay, I just kept this one. This is from last week. So you can see this chart here looks very different from this chart here. Really about the only thing that changed, because these are all moving relatively slowly compared to the moon. The moon moved from here to here. But you can see the aspects are completely different. Bamo, harmony. Now we have Bamo and harmony, but completely different energy fields, which I described at the beginning of the show. Anyway, let's put that aside. Let's tuck these away, because we're going to start to do a reading for Tina. Let's shuffle all this over here. Oops. Ka-ching. All right. Perhaps I'm a tad paranoid. I'm just reading in the chat here. It's fun. Perhaps I'm a tad paranoid, but this bizarre eclipse could be used as an excuse to destroy the power grid coast to coast permanently. Yep. But that's just one of the many stories and hypes that's going around right now. That's just one. There's all sorts. Could be anything. Like, is there going to be another invasion? Is there going to be another bridge that collapses? Are there going to be riots? Is our food chain collapsing? Are we going to get any imports and exports across the world? It's just never ending. I mean, I actually stayed. I didn't do my heavy duty diving today like I normally do with all the news and stuff, because I was feeling so bad. So I just got little glimpses of it, and I decided, you know what, just relax. Just have one day. Give me a break. Esther's saying game over. Yeah. But it will start again. Everything will start again. It's a permanent, perpetual motion machine of birth, procreation, and death. Good news, bad news. Good news, bad news. Good things, bad things. Good news, bad things happening all the time. Never, ever, ever stops. All right, now, okay, so here we are. I'm going to grab a deck of cards and we're going to read for Tina. and then we'll just hang out in the chat for a bit, see what happens. All right, let's do this. I'm going to actually play a little bit. Here. Oh, link for a reading? Well, I'll just, in case there's any newbies out there who've never done this before. Esther, you've had reading before. I'll just show people. So if somebody wants a reading live tonight, right now, what you do is, like on your device, open up another tab or another device while you're watching the show or something like that, and you go to TarotLumination.com. Okay, just type it in, TarotLumination.com, and you find the donate page. You click the donate page, you find the donate button, click the donate button. The button opens up the payment processor, and you scroll down, choose debit, credit, and you fill it in like you do with, online shopping. And then you get your reading. You put in a donation. People put in all sorts of amounts, and I'm very grateful. So help yourself, but in the meantime, we do have a reading booked for Tina. All right, let's have a look over here. All right, so anything can happen. As you know, most of us who hang out here have been doing this, hanging out together for years, so we're like long-distance friends. A lot of us kind of sort of know each other quite well in our own unique, quirky ways. It's not like we're, meeting at the coffee shops and stuff like that, but still. We've all shared a lot of energy, and in various different ways. Intellectual, conversational, spiritual, healing, all sorts. All right, Tina, let's have a look. So we've done a lot of work together, and let's just see what the story tells today, okay? Let's bless this deck, bless every single card, bless all the softwares, the lights, the staging, the different cameras and microphones, and the platform itself that allows us to do this. Even though it gets demonetized, and I had another one demonetized a couple days ago, and what can you do? What can you do? They're trying to shut me up. without making it look like they're trying to shut me up. Anyway, here we go. Right, Tina? So I hope you're well over there in your little piece of paradise with your two big furry friends. This is the TarotLumination situational spread. It's very, very simple, but it's a very broad spectrum thing. It's just like one of those analyzers you plug in on your car to figure out what's going wrong. Like, oh, is it your gas cap? Is it the compression in your engine? Is it the computer? Is it the ignition? Is it the catalytic converter? Oh no, oh no. Anyway, you got to reveal it to heal it. You can't fix what needs to be fixed unless you know what it is that's not working, or what it is that needs attention. And so what happens is we just simply trust and believe in the phenomenon that we call tarot readings, to allow that there is some higher power that seems to work through us, through our physical bodies, through our pineal gland, through our hands, through our auras, through time and space, that allows us to do this. It's magic, basically. And so the cards are cut. Let's put it all back together. Now we're going to spread it out. Here's the actual spread. Okay, here's the situation. Here's the challenges. And here's how we're going to handle things going forward. And now we're going to look at the external influences. I almost always refer to the planets, but sometimes we get a little variation there. Let's have a look. So we've got the Seven of Pentacles here. And you can probably relate to this very easily right now, Tina. You're probably aware in your own way that you're a very lucky woman. There's a lot of value in your life, in your world, and it's staring right at you. It's something that you have built. It's part of it is natural, inherent to you in your life, because you've put so much work into your life and your world in order to do the right thing and be the best person you can be. And yet, even with best of intentions, just like a garden, just like a car, it needs constant maintenance. And I can relate to this very well as myself, as Tina, because I feel that I'm very valuable, but I also feel that the value and the good things and the good fortune that I have in my life are constantly being eroded and let's say jeopardized by external influences that you might simply call weeds. Because that's what this is about here. It's like, there's your garden, you've worked very hard, but you come to a point of realization that, damn it, I have to go weed the gardens again. Gotta go weed the garden again. And the thing about weeding the garden is not many people like doing it. It's just tedious, and it doesn't matter how you do it. Weeds seem to have a sneaky way to come back. They find their way, and half the time you don't even know it till it's reached to the point of when you turn around and you look, oh no, please. I just did that. I just fixed that. I just weeded that. So let's just say, Tina, this refers to the Mercury retrograde period, which would be an ideal time to, let's say, survey your landscape, look at the world around you, look at it in detail, and perhaps create a plan or a grid map or some kind of strategy for the, let's not call it, I guess you could call it like a cleanup campaign, but it's more to do with like clearing things out so that the Seven Pentacles have a chance to grow further and further without being so heavily obscured by, weeds, overgrowth. It's a never-ending issue. Oh, look at that. Okay, I see the notes. Hold on. Okay, Esther, I see that. I'll make a note here. You got the roof repaired. Excellent. Ceiling fan replaced. Excellent. And rebuilding your orchid collection. So it makes sense. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. But again, right now, with the Mercury retrograde starting right now, basically, or tomorrow if you want, it's a really, really good time to really, really dig in. Now, it could be anything. Checking in on your finances, doing any fine-tuning with your finances, your way of life, money coming in, money coming out. Also, because it's the Aries energy, making sure that you're taking care of yourself properly, your physical body. Okay, Tina? Like, in other words, if you feel you need to rest, take a rest. If you feel energized to do something, seize the moment and go with it and take care of what has to be done. But do not overdo it, or you'll end up like what I did, because I relate very closely to this myself, but I overdid it. And in the process of doing like home improvements and weeding and clearing and maintenance and stuff, because it has to be done, I ended up really screwing over my lower back. So I'm having to take medications that I do not like, don't want to take. But, you know, things are the way they are. So anyway, let's have a look at the situation itself. Okay. King of Wands. Aha! So this is going to sound a little weird, Tina, but I'd like you to kind of ignore the gender issue here with the King of Wands and understand and remember that as a woman, you still have certain aspects that are masculine, just as every male has certain aspects that are feminine. And it's always in a state of flux. And there are times when the male has to adopt and present very feminine characteristics, like being nurturing and caring, like having to be a stay-at-home dad if the mother is ill or something like that. Or for a woman, having to take care of business and finance and important matters that would normally, preferably, be sorted out and carried by the male. But in your situation, Tina, I believe that you're having to be both. Number one, a very strong female, a woman of substance, and simultaneously, for not regretfully, but understandably, having to activate and express the masculine aspects of your nature simply in order to survive. In other words, because no one else is going to do it for you. My feeling is that the King of Wands here, what the real message is that you're going to have to be your own savior. You're going to have to be your own dynamic leader, your own inspiration. It's going to have to, you have to nurture that from inside yourself and keep it there. And once it's going and once you're tuned into that, think of the King of Wands as a very powerful Aries type of expression. Fearless, strong, courageous, inspirational, leadership. No backing down. Take advantage of that because it's there for you and you've got it inside you. You just have to tap into it. Okay? All right, so what's the challenges here? Okay, dealing with profound changes, profound life-changing changes. It's to me, this looks like kind of a larger-than-life scale type of reading. Like what you're telling me here, for example, like you're working a lot on the garden, and the house, doing the maintenance and so on, and sleeping a lot in between, which is a good thing because you probably need it because you've had, I would say decades of life living in hyper-stressed environments And maybe it's time for you to catch up with your body's need for, like you said last week, peace. Peace and happiness. My feeling is that the Tower here represents something that you're very used to. In other words, oh God, cataclysmic evolutionary upheavals and changes. Again? Oh, okay. Again? Oh, not again. Oh, please, not again. The thing is, because you've had to deal with so many of these destabilizing events and circumstances and experiences, it's kind of lurking in the background all the time, like, oh God. You know, it's almost like there's a part of you, like when you take a nap. You know, I don't know what you're like, but sometimes when I'm trying to relax and sleep and go through these different stages of going unconscious, I go through all the beautiful, wonderful things, and then my brain and my intuition will seep into all the scary, frightening stuff, and I'll suddenly get really scared, and then I'll find a way to be happy again, and then I'll fall asleep. So it's like we go through these layers because you've carried a lot of this inside of you. And my feeling is that there's this deep, deep fear, like, oh God, it's just a matter of time till the next freaking chaotic, mind-numbing upheaval is going to happen. You know, and then that creates a sort of, what do you call it? A negative feedback loop, because you're imprinted. Okay, you've had this imprinted on you in such a way that it's almost like, it's just like, that's just life, you know. Everything's going to fall apart. It always does. So that's a fear. But remember, fear is false evidence appearing real. This doesn't have to be so, but it's a deeply ingrained fear. And so that could keep you quaking deep inside, making it a little bit difficult to fully relax and enjoy the peace that you do now have and that you are building around you. Lidocaine. I see that. Heating pads. Yes, I see that. Thank you. So, okay. I think a lot of this is to do with the Mercury retrograde coming up as well. Like, there are very well recognized patterns. Like, you probably understand this one very well, Tina. Like, well, I already know that there's no one coming to save me, so I'm going to have to flip that switch on and be my own hero again. And knowing that at any moment everything could fall apart again, it gets really old. It gets really, really old. I'm sorry. So anyway, it doesn't mean it has to repeat, but these might be like repeating themes that are just starting to get a little bit tedious and from which you would like to have some peace. Okay, so moving forward. Oh, okay. This, I think, is, again, this is very much an internal thing. This is very much a reading about Tina with Tina, where forget about the outside world and everything that's going on in there, the chaos, the revolution, the invasion, the attacks on America, the inflation, all the cost of food, cost of gasoline, mortgages, whatever it is, debit cards, car payments, all of that. Okay. Going forward, the best thing to do is to be super, super kind and nice to yourself. Again, let's relate the Knight of Cups here to the gesture coming from the King of Wands, where you, the King of Wands part of you, is sending out a messenger, a healing messenger to go back to you. Okay? This is inside your soul saying, okay, Tina, your body needs healing. Your body, your mind, your arms, your hands. You need healing. You need peace. You've had a taste of it. You know it's yours. You know you deserve it. It's an ongoing thing. You can't take it for granted. It's going to require maintenance, but you're going to be okay. But again, no one's going to do that for you. So you have to serve yourself. So that would mean over here, like with the Knight of Cups, like when you feel tired, take a break. Go back inside, sit down, have a cup of tea, take a nap, watch a video, watch a movie, cuddle with your furry animals, take a break, and then go back to the courageous stuff. And then when that fizzles out and you get tired from the maintenance, give yourself another break. Have a cup of this, a cup of that. And be really kind to yourself so that you become your own ultimate healer. Okay? You're serving up a cup of love to you. That's what this is about. Okay? Thank you, Tina. I hope that helps. In a way, it's a very broad spectrum reading, but in the end, it's really about, please, Tina, take care of yourself. I know you've already made some huge advances, and that's probably starting to generate peace inside of you, so that's great. But it has to be an ongoing process, because these probably things are probably just going to haunt you. This is probably going to haunt you, so it's there. So just you have to deal with it. Oh God, it's happening. Oh no, not again, not again, not again. So you deal with it by healing yourself. Okay. Coffee, excellent, excellent, Tina. Beautiful. I have to admit, I feel the same way. I love my cups of coffee, I gotta tell you. Thank you, Tina. Hey, James. Okay, so that's your reading, Tina. I understand that Esther is getting a reading, and James, I would be honored to read for you. If you can't remember, I'll show you how it works, James. You go over here, you go to TarotLumination.com, click the donate button, click the donate page, do a little bit of online shopping with your card, swipe it through, make the donation, and you're good to go. Kaboom. Alrighty, so that's how that works. Let me go over here a second. I'm just doing background work. And next we're going to read for Esther. And then we'll see if James wants one as well. All right. Over here. I'm just doing clicking around behind the scenes. Bear with me, okay? All right. Yeah, if we read for you, James, that'll be the last reading of the night. There's only so much I can do. I'm gonna put Esther's notes up here. Okie dokie. So, all right. So here we go. I'm going to start shuffling up and getting ready. Thank you, James. All right, no more readings tonight. After that, we're booked. I'm just going to put up the sign, because otherwise I lose my voice. I can only really handle 3 at a time now. That's the most. The glory days are kind of, that was long ago, years and years ago. 40 videos a month, live shows, 3, 4, 5 hour long shows, 8 readings a night. God, I can't believe I did that. Anyway, cards are well shuffled, Esther. We're going to pretty much dive in. And let's see over here now. Actually, before that, I just want to say hi and welcome. Make it, let's see, that's better. That's better. I just wanted to say hi directly to you, Esther. Thank you very much for choosing TarotLumination to do your mini reading for you. I know I never look around anymore, but I'm pretty sure there's thousands of tarot and astrology channels now. Oh, some of you probably heard, I was at the cinema recently a couple of times in the last few weeks. I saw some really movies that I really enjoyed. They're true stories. One was about this gentleman who was like a bookkeeper in London, and he got very upset because of all these little children who were stuck in Poland in World War II. And so he set up this very elaborate plan to evacuate hundreds and hundreds of little children who otherwise would have ended up in the gas chamber of World War II. And that was a beautiful story. Beautiful story. And at the very end of the movie, the fellow, of course, by this time was a very old man. And he went on this TV show by invitation. And the TV company had organized an arrangement with about 80 or 90 survivors who lived into their 70s or 80s after World War II. And those survivors were in the television studio with the old man. And the host of the show said, "By the way, sir, very, very kind of you to save all these children's lives. We'd like you to stand up and look around you, because at this very moment, every seat in the studio is occupied by one of the children that you saved many years ago. And they are now adults. And they're here to thank you." It was a beautiful, beautiful story. And then there was another beautiful story I watched. It's a movie. It had Mark Wahlberg in it, and it's called Arthur the King. It's a story about one of these endurance racer people. Mark is this guy. He likes to go hiking, climbing, jogging, cycling, rowing, kayaking, and he likes to do it competitively, like racing. So he's sort of retiring, and because he's getting a little, older and achy. It's hard to do it when you're in your 30s and 40s. But anyway, he decided, damn it, he wants to do it again. And so his wife and family encouraged him, just go and do it. Just do it to get it out of your system. So he sets up a team of his old buddies, and they go off on this expedition. They meet all the other racers from all over the world. And they end up in, I think, the Dominican Republic, or maybe it was Costa Rica. And they set off on this 5 or 10 day journey, going through the mountains and the forests and the swamps and the rivers and the lakes and all of that stuff. Running, swimming, jogging, kayaking, covered in mud and bugs. And there's a little dog that meets them along the way. And this dog, you can tell from the rest of the story, where it's told from the movie, the dog comes from, is a little street dog from the city. And the street dog is obviously wounded, got big gashes on its back, probably got hit and beaten around from scavenging. But the dog is very, very smart, and the dog follows them, especially Mark Wahlberg. And it's a beautiful story because it doesn't make any sense. The dog is a drag on the racers because the dog is partly crippled. And yet, the dog has this amazing instinct for locations. And there are several occasions when the dog is aware of deadly danger ahead. And the dog stops the runners. He growls and stops and bites their legs, anything to stop them from falling over the cliff. How did the dog know that? The next weird, crazy thing was looking at the map from the journey. The dog met the racing team ahead of the racing team at one of the checkpoints during the journey. And so the racers were looking at each other. How the hell did that mangy, beat-up dog get to our checkpoint before we did? That's impossible. But the dog did it because the dog had navigation skills, shortcuts through the mountains and so on. And anyway, the dog was getting very, very weak. And so they fed the dog. And the dog was surviving, but there was a dangerous part of the trip where the only way forward was on kayaks on a big open part of the ocean. And so the racers said, we got to leave the dog behind. We can't come with us. It's illegal. They won't even let the dog on the kayak. And then Mark Wahlberg says, screw it. I'm taking the dog anyway. I don't care. I don't care. And so he rescues the dog because the dog was just about to drown. The dog was trying to swim and keep up, but then the dog started drowning. But Mark dives in, rescues the dog, puts him on the kayak. They keep going. They race hard. They're in second place. They catch up with the leaders, and eventually they cross the finishing line, and they come in a very, 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 very close second. And Mark immediately rushes over to the doctors and says, you got to take care of him. Take care of the dog. Fix him now. And the vet says, I can't do it. He's too far gone. We need to euthanize him. And Mark says, screw that. I'm taking him back to America. So anyway, that's what happens. The dog goes back. The dog goes back to America. It was a very heart-rending movie. It was a beautiful story. And the dog is saved. And Mark Wahlberg effectively wins the race because the actual winners of the race basically turn to Mark and say, you know what, Mark? You won the race. You would have won if you hadn't picked up that silly mangy dog. But we love you. We love the dog. Mark and your team, you are the real hero. And Arthur, the dog, was, of course, deeply loved and celebrated. So anyway, back in America, Mark is with his family. They got the dog. The dog goes to the vet. The dog gets healed and fixed up by the vet. And at the end of the movie, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Mark is jogging and running around in the Colorado mountains, and Arthur is running. It's beautiful. Just beautiful. True story. There. I just had to get off my chest. I wanted to say something that was uplifting and beautiful. Two beautiful stories that give you hope. Anyway, Esther, it's your turn. Here we go. So, if you're bored and you got time, 2 movies. One is called One Life. The other one's called Arthur the King. There you go. All right, Esther, cards are well shuffled, but we're going to go again. We're going to go again because I just want to make extra sure, and you're a witness, okay? Okay, what kind of messages do we have here for Esther tonight? Now, Esther has a history of readings with us where there's a kind of a theme of a life well lived, where it's, what's the word? What the other word is, the other phrase is living by example. In other words, do good things. Be a good person. Have a good life. Good evening, Mr. Ross. Thank you for your message. Thank you very, very much. I haven't replied yet. I've had a very, very, very slow day. I'm not going to do any more readings tonight because my voice is already fading and I have to read for James. Okay, so, but I can take readings during the week if anybody's interested. All right, Esther, here we go. What kind of messages do we have for Esther tonight? For life, the world, and everything. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things. Let's have a look. External influences. You know we've got a lot of compression in the planets right now. We've got that stellium in Pisces. We've got a sort of a mini stellium in Aries. We've got all that pileup over there in Taurus. We've got the North Node conjoined with Chiron and Aries and so on and so on. We just had an eclipse and we're coming into another eclipse. Full moon eclipse and a new moon eclipse. Solar eclipse. Alrighty, let's have a look. So we have Six of Wands. Something to celebrate here for sure. Basically, it's like, Esther, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. It's good to be you. It must be good to be you. You know, like I was saying before the reading, living by example, okay? Instead of, like, you know how some people say, do this, do that, or do what I say, but don't do what I do. Or some people say they're going to do this, this, or this, or this, but they end up doing that, 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 that. It's much simpler when you live with integrity and you're a good person. And you make good, healthy decisions and you enjoy the appropriate outcomes. It's very, very simple. If you want a good life, do good things. Be a good person. Enjoy the consequences. Think of it as karma. The seeds that you sow. For all we know, Esther, maybe you were born and raised in an environment where it was very, very, very simple. Maybe you had parental figures who kind of indoctrinated you in very simple, very pure codes of life, ways of being. And you inherited that. And of course, once you had a taste of it, and you feel like, well, this is, well, that works, that's okay, that seems good, you know. I'm not looking to cause trouble, I don't want to get into trouble, I don't want to hurt people, I don't want to be hurt by people. I'm just going to be a good person. I'm going to live a good life. I'm going to be me. That's the best thing you can do, is to be you. All right, something to celebrate, and just keep doing that. All right, so that's out there. It's like planetary support is basically saying, like, you know, even though TarotLumination may talk about, all these horrible, scary things going on in the earth and the evil monsters and this and the invasion and the attacks on America and, you know, the banking system, woe is me. You can still be happy. You can still be good, feel good, and conduct yourself as a good person anyway. You don't have to be a victim. Now, some people are victims, but you don't. If you're aware kind of about how the world works, the laws of cause and effect, living by example, be loving, be loved, very, very simple codes of life, then you can enjoy, okay? Let's have a look here. What's the situation itself? Okay, so with the Eight of Swords at this very, very moment in time, you might be feeling that there's a little bit of... Now, this might look very scary to you, Esther, but please don't be scared. The way I'm interpreting this is that a lot of us come to certain episodes or chapters in our life, maybe it's just for a few hours or a few days, where we are looking around our world. Hold on. We may be looking around our world and starting to realize, my God, there's an awful lot of doo-doo out there. There are so many mixed up people, angry people, bitter people, dangerous people, sick people, warped people, perverted people, evil people out there, all just doing their stuff, and they somehow or other they missed the point. Why do they live that way? Is it choice? Are they seduced by madness? Are they seduced by greed? Are they born and raised with insanity? What is it? And then you end up in your own situation where it's just like, well, I'm still Esther, just living my life. But sometimes when I walk out the door, this is what I'm sensing, Esther. It's like every now and again you'll walk out and just live your life, do something, switch on a show on a TV or go to the shops or the stores or whatever it is that you do. And you start to look around and realize, God, there's an awful lot of mess. It's just, just walking into a convenience store, you might think, oh, I better not stand next to that person, or I better make sure that I got my wallet, or got to make sure that there's air in the tires in my car, or I got gasoline because I heard some bad news about maybe there's a supply chain issue. I might not get any gasoline next week, and so on and so on. And so you end up with those Eight of Swords. But my feeling is those Eight of Swords are not your swords. They're not your problems. You end up as the person who has to navigate through a world of problems that are not yours. They're just out there. And so every now and again, when things get a bit bumpy and rough, it's just like, God, sometimes like it's just to get through the day. It's just like, oh my God, I nearly got hit on the curb. Some guy cut me off on the street, and then you're like, how do you get through all of that? Okay? That's what I'm sensing here, okay? So don't be scared of that Eight of Swords. It's not, I don't see that as your own negative energy working against you. It's just that there are a lot of negative circumstances and events out there in the world around you that no matter how much homework you do and how much prayer you make or knowledge and wisdom you have, you're still going to encounter these things almost like getting blindsided, especially by bad drivers and things like that, or glitches with the car, or glitches at a supermarket, or whatever it might be, So, yeah, some days it can be very difficult to navigate just to get through one day. All right? Understandable. Happens now and again. What's the challenge here? Okay. I can relate to this one as well, Esther, with this Eight of Wands here. It makes me feel like the challenge is that you can't help yourself. You're just one of these people. You have good energy. You love life. You like to live life. You like to be happy. You like to express and share and enjoy your energy. Like if I look at this, I'm just trying to do a comparison, Esther. When I was a kid, a lot of people, school teachers and authority figures, they couldn't handle me because I had so much abundance of life. I had so much energy, and I just wanted to live life. And I loved living my life. What do I do with all my energy? And so it can be a little hazardous. In other words, You got to be very careful. We got 2 8s here, but very, very different energy. Like, let's say this is you, and you are just naturally supercharged. You've got, you're healthy in your body and your mind and your soul and your heart, and you just want to live the best life that you can live optimally. But how do you do that when there's all this crap going on around you? It's a juggling match. It's very difficult to balance it out. You don't want to push too hard because you could create an accident yourself. But you don't want to back down too much because you'll end up a victim of all this crap. That's a very tricky balancing act. So how do we deal with that moving forward? Okay, we treat it as a game. It's sport. It's just sport for you. It's just, another day. It's just another day where I have to go out. I have to get up in the morning, be my own awesome self, and the minute I walked out the door, there's crap everywhere that I have to deal with. It's not going to ruin my day. I refuse to let all that crap ruin my day. I'm going to treat it as a challenge, as sport, as a way to improve my skills and improve my talents, and therefore create more joy, abundance, and happiness in my life. And it's another way of giving a middle finger to all of that. Ha, 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 ha. Yep. You can handle it. It's almost like you're indestructible, really. All right. Beautiful. Thank you, Esther. I hope you get something out of that. Okay, we're going to put this away. And then we're going to shuffle up. We got a reading for James. Okay, I got to put this over here. I'm going to shuffle up in a little bit. Gregory's enjoying the other readings. Yeah, some people actually come here just to watch the readings. You know? I think it's kind of weird, personally. But anyway. Actually, sorry. Give me a second here, folks. I just got to... Oh, no, hold on. I kind of take back what I said, because there were times where I would just go to one of my cafes back in LA. I had the beach life in Los Angeles. I looked like a hippie, frankly. I had bandanas, I had tie-dye t-shirts, and I wore sandals and baggy shorts and whatever. And I looked like I was probably stoned all day, every day. I wasn't. Every now and again, I just kind of fit into that vibe. And I would go to sit at one of my cafes, and I would pull out a deck of cards and start doing a reading, and then someone would come up and go, "Oh, what's that? Oh, you read cards? Really? Could you do a reading for me?" And I go, "Yeah, okay. I was just doing homework for myself, but okay." And so I would do a reading for someone live, face to face, real time, on a coffee table, with my cup of coffee and my deck of cards, okay? And I would start the reading, and then lo and behold, I'd be in the middle of the reading. You could start to notice there's people on the other coffee tables kind of doing this, like, oh, what the heck? Over there. What's the guy? So I had a lot of that to deal with, okay? But anyway, let's get over there and shuffle up. Okay, I gotta get things shuffling over here. this is our last reading of the evening, James. All right, so let's have a look here. I see some notes. Okay, hold on. Let me just have a read over here. Beginning a course on Violet Flame and Saint Germain, beginning next weekend. How will this affect my relationship with Patty? Okay, it's an 8-week course. I guess 8-week, is that 8-week course? And a lot of it is healing relationships, past, present, and future. Huh. Wow, I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of that. Violet Flame. A course on the Violet Flame and a course on Saint Germain. Seriously, I have no idea what that means. Interesting. I'm kind of curious. Maybe as I go through the reading, James, maybe you can type a few notes, let the rest of us know, in case some of the rest of us don't know. Okay. Oh, it's energy healing. Oh, okay. Huh. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, I didn't know. I have no idea. All right, so. Okay, and how will this? It's healing relationships. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how that works, but yeah. All right. It's a form of energy here. James, okay, James is saying he's a Reiki master, so this is another tool under the belt. Oh, okay. I get it. So adding more credentials, skills. What's this? Gregory, you officed the Santa Fe building owned by the Society of Saint Germain, the I Am Temple. Huh. I don't know anything about Saint Germain. Dear me, I'm really clueless. Wow. Well, since you're already a Reiki master, you're already very, very well understanding of everything that we do here. This is just another form of, energy exchange. All right, cards are well shuffled. Let's have a look, see what happens here. I'm going to cut it all up, put it all back together. Following list, I'm going to go look to get certified in hypnotherapy. Oh, wow, that would be cool. And also, there are people who do past life regression therapy. That's pretty awesome. Hypnotherapy is actually pretty cool. I never did it, but it's fascinating. I went to a few seminars where they did some demonstrations. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Also, James, the other thing is when I went through several years of this very intensive, this kind of advanced yoga stuff, which had a lot of things in common with Reiki. And I didn't do the certification stuff, but I certainly had a lot of exposure and a lot of training and a lot of experience. Oh, that's amazing. That's awesome. Okay, let's have a look. All right, so how is all this going to affect our future relationship with Patty? Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things. And moving forward. And let's have a look at external influences. James, before I even pull this, I hope you're not overloading. You're already highly qualified, okay? And you're adding a lot onto your plate and getting like hyper certified. Okay, let's see what happens here. Oh, oh, we got the Six of Cups here. My feeling is that this is a profound indication that everything, your energy is benevolent, and it's ultimately healing and restorative in regard to your relationship with Patty. Okay? I think we've talked about this before on another reading. I have a feeling, I can't remember the details, but right now I wouldn't be surprised if there was a strong past life relationship. Multiple past life relationships. And when you have situation of multiple past life relationships over decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years, you get to a point where the parties involved, your options become very narrow after a while, where you're, in order to evolve, so I think we talked about this. Give me a second, James. I'll be right back here. Give me a second. There are certain types of healing that can only occur in the context of relationship, profound one-on-one relationship, whether it's a very difficult relationship or very harmonious and challenging. Either way, we're talking about a profound one-on-one type of relationship dynamic. Polarities, oppositions in the astrology, and so on and so on. Because of the work that we've already done together, James, my feeling is with this little Six of Cups, it's a reminder, before we even get into the reading itself, that you already share love. Love is fundamental to your relationship with Patty and from Patty to you. That's already established. The thing is, in this lifetime, what does that look like? Because in this lifetime, the dynamics of the loving relationship is, as selfish as this might sound, it's really about the fine-tuning of the self. The tricky part is that at the levels at which you are operating and which Patty is operating, you have very few options about anywhere that you can go to get the type of integrity and quality of feedback and reflection that you need in a directly polar relationship where the mirror is exactly 180 degrees across from the mirror of the other. The gift of the relationship is the mirror. You are the mirror to Patty. Patty is the mirror to you. Over time, over many thousands of years of evolution, you had relationships where the mirrors were fractured or off here or there or not functional at all. And eventually you meet certain people and you start to fine-tune things. And I feel like over many lifetimes you got to the point where this is very finely tuned, to the point where the next steps of evolution for you and for Patty are very limited outside of your relationship with Patty and outside of Patty's relationship with you. The upside of that is that you're operating at really high frequencies of love and relationship here on this physical earth. What does that look like in detail? That's just two people living their lives. But in the world of spirit, you're operating at high frequencies to fine-tune and refine yourselves and each other, because the soul is always yearning for more and more evolution. So you need that, she needs that. It's already established, like in the universe, in the ether. It's already there. And so what do we do about it now in this lifetime? And no matter how challenging it is, love is fundamental to the phenomenon of this. Now the thing, of course, with this type of relationship, where it's an exact opposition, there's nowhere to hide.
I think we talked about this before. There's nowhere to hide. And so when things get challenging for one party relative to the other, there's always going to be the reflection and the feedback from one to the other. And like in any relationship dynamic, like let's say I'm in a relationship with somebody and it's very, very close, very intimate, or it's a very, very significant relationship. Just the slightest nuance of reflection or feedback can feel very significant, very, very big, very, very important. And so you take it very seriously, like one little word out of place, or one glance, or one comment, or one action, or one behavior that doesn't match or jive with your expectations. Remember, expectations relate to your hope for evolution based on what you know already. But evolution takes you to somewhere new, where you haven't been before. So that's the tricky part of evolution. Like you're actually going into new territory all the time. And that gets scary, because if it gets uncomfortable, there's nowhere to turn. So you immediately blame them, and they immediately blame you, because there's nowhere else to go. You can't blame anyone else. They can't blame anyone else for the glitches and the bumps in the road as you go along and evolve. That's the downside. The upside is, I don't know how you can improve. I don't know how you can beat the situation when you have something like that, where both parties have already loved and been loving. Be loving and be loved. You know what it's like to be loving and be loved. It's reciprocal. You've both been on the giving end and the receiving end. You know how that works. So where do we take it from here? Let's go back to the reading. Okay, some notes just popped up. Hold on. Oh, wait. Oh, you got a screen full of notes here. Hold on. James, following this, I'm going to look to get certified hypnotherapy. Okay. Begins first week of April. Should take me the end of May, beginning of June. Okay. After the hypnotherapy, then I'm going to go for yoga teacher training. Oh, my God. That's what came out last time. Oh, okay. This is like the big master plan. I get it. Okay. Remember, love it. That was the outcome card. Okay. So, yes, when we've shared many lives, you touched on that heavily in the depth reading we did. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So you already have an understanding what I'm talking about here. Let's see. Let's focus on now. This is the now. Okay. We've got this. So the Knight of Cups here is, I think this relates very closely to you in your actions. Okay. Actions speak louder than words. My feeling is that all the energy that you're pouring into your certification and self-improvements and advancement and the formalization in 3D regarding your multidimensional 5D, 7D, 11D skills, crafts, and healing abilities is actually a gesture of love. It's your way of living by example. In other words, instead of running around in circles chasing Patty, going, Patty, 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 I know we've lived together before. We had a wonderful time. You're so hot. I know you think I'm hot. Let's just get it on like we did before, okay? Let's just get drunk and party and everything will be great and fun and blah, blah. Let's get married, make babies and all that. And Patty looks at you like, are you out of your freaking mind? Are you high? What? And so you're at this point now, like, how, like, say, an athlete will try to do something really stupendous to impress the woman of his desire. Have you ever seen those amazing videos on YouTube? I'm taking it a little bit far here, okay, James? I'm exaggerating a little bit. But have you ever seen those videos on YouTube about birds, especially exotic birds, and the the dancing that they do. Now, in that kingdom, the males seem to have a lot more color and flash, and the girls tend to be more, muted. And there are certain birds, I think it's the bird of paradise or something, but there's a whole bunch of birds, peacocks, for example, where the male does whatever it can to impress the female, so that the female chooses him above the competition. So, the bird with the best feathers and the best dance and the best moves, he does his thing, and then he sits and waits and kind of goes, pick me, pick me, pick me. And while she'll be going around like, yeah, you're pretty good. You got good moves. You got good feathers, good looks, good color. I like good color. But no. James, you got it. You're the one. And so that's what I'm sensing here. It sounds a ridiculous way to interpret a card in a tarot reading, but it makes me feel as though your certifications and your increasing, let's say, credentials are literally like a peacock growing into its maturity to get ready to do the full display. I was very lucky as a kid. I lived for years around families of peacocks. And during the mating season, and there's little baby peacocks and young ones and adults and old ones. No offense, but having those credentials at the kind of levels at which you're working, the quality standards, and the skill set that you're developing, I see it as an act of love, an act of doing the most awesome stuff for yourself to make yourself as worthy as possible. Instead of traditional methods of wooing a woman, it's about becoming your most awesome woman. It's about becoming your most awesome self. And that act in itself is the gesture of love, presenting the cup of love to this woman. Okay. Now, what's the challenges here? Let's have a look. More cups! More cups! Okay, so with the Page of Cups here, it makes me feel that even though, okay, James, even though you're already a certified Reiki healer, there is a motivation that's taking you to get the hypnotherapy certification and then the yoga teacher training certification. And that's fantastic. Having all those certifications under your belt is good. But with the Page of Cups here, it makes me feel that there's a part of you which is like, I don't know if even that's going to be enough. Damn it. I mean, I'm already cool, man. I'm a Reiki master. And when I get my hypnotherapy certification and my yoga certification, I'm going to be freaking awesome. And there's this deep fear inside of you. Is that enough? Am I still going to have to do more? My God, is this going to work? I'm not saying this is an overt, outward, direct display strategy of love and affection. I feel that this is you living your life, living the best life you can for you, and it happens to also function as a gesture of love towards Patty. But as a human being, there's always doubt. And my feeling is the doubt is that, will this be enough? Is there going to be more to learn? What else can I do? I mean, where else? How much further can you go? All right, let's have a look. How are we going to deal with that? Because that's an understandable fear. I mean, there's like that, what's that expression, the perpetual student? I don't want to hurt your feelings or insult you, James, but I know. Okay, look at it this way. Okay, this is personal. I'm just going to share a story, okay, James, so you'll understand. It's not an insult to say perpetual student. There's a difference between a perpetual student and someone who is who's excels in academics. I was the dumb one in my family, out of my brother and sister. My brother was just like freaking genius, okay? Off the freaking charts, literally. Same with my sister. My sister had to work hard, but she got the same results as my brother. My brother just kind of like, sure, yeah, okay, I'll get an A. You know, oh, what's next? Yeah, I got an A in that. Yeah, no problem. Oh man, that was tough. And my sister be working. But anyway, my sister, she's a super ultra qualified veterinarian. She knew when she was 9 years old that she was going to be a veterinarian doctor. She went to school for it with that in mind. She went to college, she went to university, and then she went from there to whatever it is, like masters, PhDs, doctorates. She has so many letters after her name, you can't read it all. It doesn't fit on an envelope. But to me, she's just my sister. I can ask her anything about medicine and healthcare and veterinarian and animals and anything like that. And she knows it all because she's done it all. And she went very high up in the corporate world until she realized the corporate world was not for her. So she went back to traditional veterinarian work. Anyway, my sister, my dear sister, she got all her qualifications because she felt it was necessary to do so. And she didn't do it out of fear that enough is not enough. It's still not enough. She loved the process of training, certification, qualification, examination, testing, and final stamp of approval. And then she said, okay, now I'm done. I've done with all that. I've done it. I'm certified. And it's a very, very noble thing. So go for it. Okay? So, absolutely go for it, James, as far as your own evolution is concerned. But if you're having even the slightest doubt of whether that's going to be, perceived as the way I was describing it earlier in this bizarre story about courtship ceremonies, I'm pretty sure you'll be okay, James. So anyway, how do we deal with this moving forward? Good grief, James. Look at all these cups. This is insane. Have you ever seen a reading like this? Cups, 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 cups. James, it looks like you're on your way. It looks like you're on path, doing what you got to do, being who you are, advancing in your own journey, your own evolution. Live and let live, allowing that Patty is living her life, advancing in her own evolution. You've got this as a foundation. You are loving. You are loved. And the way to go forward is understand that what you're actually doing is building basically love, home, happiness, harmony through your actions. Actions speak louder than words. You don't have to do any bizarre courtship rituals in the traditional sense. You can just be you, get your certifications, keep going, go on your path, and let your actions speak for you. And allow things to unfold naturally. It looks, in this reading here, it looks like it's an inevitability. An inevitability. The James Patty thing. What it looks like in detail, that's a whole other thing. But what I feel is at the deep soul level, you're taking what already exists and you are refining it and improving it even more to be something where you can share it. You see? You see what it is? It's basically the two of you. You build this thing together. Just build this thing together. Nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Okay, watch this video get banned or demonetized. It's already demonetized, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, seriously, James, I think you're good to go. Just stay on path. Keep doing what you're doing. You're building what you want. There it is. It's really simple. It's beautiful. Thanks, James. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. All right. So, I never thought I would get through tonight. I almost didn't do the show. I was feeling so that I kept thinking, there's no point in showing up tonight. I don't even know if I could do even one reading. But hey, we did 3. We got through it okay. I'm really glad I did this. I'm really glad I showed up here tonight and you guys are out there and you're enjoying things. Thank you, Gregory, for enjoying other people's readings. I really appreciate that. It gives me motivation to want to keep going. All right, so let's wrap it up. I'm not going to do any more readings, but if anyone has any last minute notes. Okay. Anyway, probably most of everybody's gone home by now. We'll see. All right. Okay, doke. All right. Oh, I didn't know you were here, Maria. Hi. Greetings, Maria. Oh. I'll feel better. I've got access to some really powerful medications. I don't like doing that, but if I have to, I'll use it. There we go. Lurking. You're a lurker. All right. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say goodnight using my rebel song. I have a song which I wish it would be big and famous and make me millions of dollars. It's kind of like a rebel fighter song. And you might have heard it or not. Probably not. I'm just going to say that I know in past lives I've been in America before quite a few times, especially during war times, especially during the Civil Wars. The first round of wars, in the round of 1700s, 1776, 1780s, and things like that. But also during the Civil Wars around the 18, whenever it was, with, separation of states and all of that stuff. Russian, no, I don't smoke doobies, man. Looks like I do, but I don't. I can't take drugs at all. Drugs are horrible for me. I've done everything. I don't want to touch anything. I don't even drink alcohol anymore. The biggest thing I take maybe is aspirin and coffee, but I've got access to other heavy duty stuff. Anyway, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to be a rebel. I'm going to play you my rebellious song. It's my 2A song. 2A stands for the Second Amendment. Here we go. I'm going to just show you guys something. Okay, this is my little book here. I like to keep it close by. This has got the Constitution written in it, and it's also got the original Declaration of Independence. It's all done in a nice little book. It's actually very hard to read the original documents because the handwriting. But anyway, is it? Okay, where is the... where are we? Give me a second. Okay, hold on. Okie dokie. I'm stumbling. Here it is, the Bill of Rights. And this is the actual Constitution over here. The original, okay? We, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Articles, and then these are the amendments. You see this, the First Amendment and the Second Amendment? These two little paragraphs here are the biggest enemies to the elite. Number 1, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The White House hates this. And guess what? Number 2 is even worse. Amendment number 2, the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That makes them outraged. And guess what? The Second Amendment is there to protect the First Amendment. So I'm going to play you my little song, because the First Amendment and the Second Amendment are under attack right now, as you all know. God help this little video. I hope it gets enjoyed by a few more people before it gets shut down. Alright, so I'm going to play you my little song, if I can find it here on my system. Da, 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 da. It's, where is it? Here it is. It sounds like this, people. It's very oldie-worldy. Okay, I'm calling this my 2A song. It's from TarotLumination. It's pretty rough, but I hope you get something out of it. When will I stop being censored? All I'm doing is speaking the truth. Instead I am labeled as a domestic terrorist, extremist with a short fuse. The fake news just lies and suppresses. The Marxists are writing the scripts. The unaware masses get led to their slaughter while patriots try to resist. Oh, you can't take me down and you can't shut me up. I got the First Amendment by right. And if the first one is threatened, I've still got the second. I won't go down without a fight. Yes, we still have our sweet Constitution, but it's severely being abused. Our only solution is a new revolution to take back what belongs to you and me.
I'm sick of the perverts and pedos trying to normalize child sacrifice. They revel in evil and their satanic rituals packaged in their delicious lies. No, you can't take me down and you can't shut me up. I got the First Amendment by right. And if the first one is threatened, I've still got the second. I won't go down without a fight. It all began way back on 4th of July in 1776. The founders and fighters gave their lives for our freedom. I don't want to live through that again. You see, I'm recalling a past life from that exact time. I shed blood to shake off the chains of the tyrants and despots who owned us like cattle. But if I have to, I'll fight them again. Oh, you can't take me down and you can't shut me up. I got the First Amendment by right. And if the first one is threatened, I've still got the second. I won't go down without a fight. No, you can't take us down and you can't shut us up. We got the First Amendment by right. And if the first one is threatened, we've still got the second. We won't go down without a fight.